Greetings and welcome, I'm Ash, and this is my beginner's guide for Paragon. Starting up a new MOBA can be a fairly daunting task, especially in the case of Paragon, which is currently in beta and as such suffers from a poor tutorial and lack of in-game explanations. But never fear, as I've made a short guide that will get you up to speed on all the mechanics and key elements of Paragon with a focus on improving the strategy behind your plays rather than simply shoving facts down your throat. The early game in Paragon is all about maximizing the rate at which you gain both experience and card points, which means you need to stick around in your lane for as long as possible without retreating to heal and losing precious income. This is where the consumables come in. While you're still learning, I'd recommend starting every single match with a healing potion, a mana potion, and a harvester's key, more on this later. You can chug each potion 3 times before needing to refill it back at your base, so when it comes to sustainability while laning and pure value for your money, nothing beats the humble consumables. It's also worth mentioning that unlike Dota 2, the potions in Paragon work while you're being attacked, so even if you're being chased by a murderous horde of maniacs, it's well worth reaching into your pockets and taking a sip. It might just give you the few seconds you need. With your potions safely strapped to your pack, you will want to head to a lane. The usual distribution is that the most mobile and gank-oriented character goes middle, while the rest fill out the side lanes in pairs of 2. Your main goals within the first 10 minutes are to survive for as long as possible, stay relatively close to enemy minions so that you gain experience, and perform killing blows on enemy units in order to secure golden orbs which transform into card points. Unlike other MOBA games, if minions in Paragon kill other minions, the gold won't simply vanish into the ether, a portion of it will drop onto the floor. You will have to personally pick up these golden balls if you want to see any of the bounty, but don't expect the enemy players to simply let you do so without force-feeding you a few meteors in the process. A much better way of acquiring golden orbs, and by proxy card points, is to ensure your blow is the one that kills the enemy, as this will not only vacuum all of the golden orbs to you, it will also give you a significant bonus. Last hitting in Paragon isn't easy, however, as the friendly creeps are fairly unpredictable when it comes to their damage, so practice will be required before you become competent at it. And you will want to do so given how important items are in MOBA games, and that includes Paragon. After watching all those cinematics showcasing heroes flying around, throwing meteors and shrugging off bullets, you might start thinking that the characters in Paragon start out as almighty demigods. The reality of the situation is that you will get your ass handed down to you by even the simplest of enemy minions early on, and especially towers, so make sure not to overextend. Being proactive and attacking the enemy throughout the laning phase is an excellent idea, but beware as each hit you land on the enemy will shift minion focus squarely on you, which can result in your opponent ending up with the better side of the deal despite never firing a shot. There is no trick to this, I'm afraid. You will simply have to learn from experience when it's safe to shoot, when to go aggressive, and when to start pulling back, because the balance is tipping in the opponent's favor. Besides butchering everything you come across, there is one more way of gathering golden orbs: harvesters. They are drill-shaped thingies that need to be constructed before they can begin gathering resources for you. In order to build a harvester, you simply need to stand on the clearly marked circles all over the map and wait for what feels like an eternity, especially when you see enemies slowly encroach upon you. If patience isn't your favorite virtue, you could always buy a harvester key, which significantly speeds up build time, with the only downside being the fact that the key will only work once before needing to be recharged. After the harvester finally emerges from the ground and pokes the statue above, it will begin periodically generating resources for your entire team. Though you will need to pick them up from the harvester every once in a while, as they are not automatically granted to you. The harvesters are in many ways a pot of infinite gold, and as such they will draw a lot of unwanted attention from your opponents who would love nothing more than to bring them down. In other words, if you want a steady stream of card points and experience to pour in, make sure you're prepared to both defend and empty the harvesters on a regular basis. If you thought that after collecting all those golden orbs in your lane you would be through with them, well, think again, because there is an entire jungle filled with colorful bundles of joy for you to collect. These are special, however, as they don't simply offer you card points, but rather some insane buffs that last for 2.5 minutes. These orbs come in 4 flavors. Blue orbs. The jungle camps with blue balls can be found on the left side of the map, and if you beat down their guardians you will gain increased mana regeneration and a 20% cooldown reduction. Red orbs. These camps are located on the right side of the map, and once conquered will offer you a small movement speed buff as well as 25% increased damage, a rather significant boost. Black Orb. This one spawns from the strong monster in the center left portion of the map and gives you the ability to apply a burning effect to enemy towers and buildings, which does a significant amount of damage. If you see an enemy barreling towards you with this buff in tow, make sure to stop them and steal it for yourself, or you might soon run out of towers to hide behind. The Pink Orb. The final and most important orb is located in the center right portion of the map. You will need multiple people to take down his guardian, but the reward is well worth it. However, unlike the other 3 orbs, the grey one gives you no benefits until you bring it to a specific location deep within enemy territory, which means that even after going through all of the effort to kill his guardian, you might lose the orb if you're careless. If successful, however, you will gain amazing benefits, which for the starter deck usually means extra damage, extra health, and even further increased damage against buildings. As the laning phase slowly comes to an end and your coffers swell with all the golden orbs you've collected, it's prime time to turn those card points into something a bit more valuable, cards themselves. In order to return to your base, you can simply press B, which will begin a 5-second long channeling process that will send you back. Just be careful when you do this, as you can be interrupted. Once you're in base, you can enter the shop inventory by pressing G, after which you'll be presented with around 4 items to choose from. If you are a beginner, I would recommend aiming for items that increase health and damage, as going for glass cannon or even pushing builds involves a lot of presence of mind and a read on enemy movement in order to be useful. Once you pick an item of your choice, you'll be able to place upgrade cards into it, which will further increase its power. Since items give additional benefits when they have a full set of cards in them, I would recommend you do exactly that, but don't just waste your card points buying cheap and garbage updates simply to fill out the slots. It's a valid strategy and quite useful, but it requires game knowledge in order to know when exactly it's appropriate, so for now I would recommend sticking with the medium and large upgrades. As a final note about items, do not under any circumstance test out what the discard button does. I tried it out myself in the first real game I played, and it completely removes those cards from the match, thus severely limiting the amount of choices available to you in that game. When defending towers or even your core, you have a significant advantage over your enemies, as there is plenty of high ground to set up on. This means you can rain down death from above, jump into the middle of the pushing team without them being able to stop you, and most importantly, shoot enemy minions without the opponents being able to do a whole lot in return. You aren't invincible, however, so don't overstay your welcome if it seems obvious that the tower will fall. It's better to just lose one tower than to lose it and a couple of people, which then transitions into even further losses. One of the biggest mistakes I see new MOBA players make is simply dispersing to farm after winning a big teamfight, when in reality they should tear through the enemy base unimpeded. If you destroy an enemy inhibitor, that lane will begin spawning extremely strong minions for your side, minions that if left unchecked will quickly push the lane equilibrium all across the map in your favor. So if you team wipe the enemy, don't go back, even if you're on low health. Aim for those inhibitors and bring down as many as you can, because 1 destroyed inhibitor is a nuisance, 2 are almost a death sentence. People are a fickle bunch, and if presented with a massive challenge to overcome, many will simply give up, even though the match is far from over. While you cannot and will not win every single match, it's important to keep fighting until the very end, because one good teamfight or lucky mistake from the enemy and you're suddenly smashing down their core giggling like a madman. If you find yourself in a situation where all seems lost and your team uninspired, convince them to go for one final desperate attempt where you storm out of your base and try to catch the enemy off guard. 9 out of 10 times it will end as expected, you will lose, but that 1 in 10 will be the best game of your life and the one you will remember for many months to come. And there you have it, all of the things I believe new players in Paragon should be aware of before starting their very first match. However, no matter how much knowledge you have, it won't replace experience, so even if you fail your first few matches, make sure to continue playing. It will only get easier and more enjoyable as you go on. And most importantly, do make sure to have fun. Thank you guys for listening, and if you enjoyed this, or even if you didn't, please let me know, and if you'd like to see more, you can either subscribe here, or you can check out the website link down below. That one tends to be updated more frequently. With all of that said, I hope you guys have a nice day, I wish you a happy Easter, and I will see you soon. See ya!